October Red is sponsored by SA Security. Maximum security, minimum fuss.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Guess what? It's review time. I haven't done one of these in a minute. It's the first of the month, September the 1st, 2025. Where is this year going? It's almost like we came to a standstill in 2020. As you know, everything was locked down, everything was different, and we had a shift in the world. A lot of things stood still. A lot of things came out of that. Then since I'd probably say 2022, halfway through 2021, the world has just sped up, and now we're coming towards the final quarter of 2025. I hope you're all well. I hope you all enjoyed your weekend. We're going to cover a little bit of topics. It's a little bit vague this week because there's not really been that much boxing on. And when I say that, you know me and my biased self, I'm talking about the UK. I went to the Misfits bout on Saturday and the press conference the Thursday before. Very, very interesting. Those that have been following my channel for a while know that I covered it from the beginning. I was at all of them, understood everything, was there with the fighters, you know, the ones that were coming through, the ones that wanted to take it seriously, etc., etc. And then all of a sudden I just stopped going. I lost interest. Just wasn't for me. I guess I wouldn't quite call myself a purist, but I'd call myself a traditionalist. So I kind of fell off the radar with it. But due to Ty Mitchell fighting, who is the son of my sponsor, I've got to shout them out. Shout out to SA UK, Maximum Security, Minimum Fuss. I did the right thing and obviously went to show my support for Ty. Also met the lovely Demi Sims, who's the daughter of Tony Sims. And to be fair, her debut was really good. She looked like a proper novice boxer. We did have the fights where it was literally, we can't really fight, but let's just have a scrap. There was that traditional side there. And then we saw Ty Mitchell go up against Mr. Hemphill, Sean Hemphill, who had the victory over Mark Jeffers earlier on, I believe, this year. Ty, I thought, looked really weight drained because he's so tall. So to make that weight at his height was like incredible. He was exhausted in the ring. I know you saw that he fell out. He boxed really well. It's almost like Sean didn't necessarily have the answers to keep up with Ty because of his, what you could call his unorthodox style. But yeah, he was absolutely exhausted, but got the win. Was more dominant in the first half, and then clearly the second half, Sean was starting to come back into the fight, but obviously not enough to get the W. But a real good test for Ty. He's been out of boxing for a minute. Obviously he signed up with Misfits, the Misfits Pro side. So I guess that they're going to start to give him tougher fights now because that was a good test for him. So yeah, shout out to Ty Mitchell and my sponsors. I'll try and think what else was on there. Darren Till, I'd gone by then. Darren Till KO'd his opponent, and then obviously went to call out Carl Froch. So yeah, that was interesting. Shouting and screaming at ringside. To be fair, Darren Till's been shouting and screaming all week. Really lovely guy, by the way, because I met him on the week and he was just so, how can I put it, he was just like a, you know when you shake up a can of pop and you open it, it just bursts everywhere. That's Darren Till. Proper on it, all I don't know, whatever it is proper hype. So I think Carl Froch was there. I didn't see him on the night because we're all sort of separated around the arena. Depending on your media access will depend on where you can go. But yeah, he called him out. apparently Carl Froch left. I think he's done a video talking about it. And I don't know, would you want to see Carl Froch come out of retirement, I don't know, 10 or so years out of retirement to take on Darren Till? Is there any point? To me, Carl Froch has achieved fantastic things in the ring. He is a personality. He's got a very lucrative, successful YouTube channel. He's humorous. I like what he does on his channel. He gets the guests on there. I think he's been out to Saudi a couple of times. He's one of these that says what he thinks, but I did expect him to be more vocal with Darren, but he just like sat in the chair eating the apple while Darren ran his mouth, and then afterwards he went and done a video, and he was not as loud as he usually is, calling people names and whatever, and he sort of put it over to the audience. Would you want to see me fight Darren Till? I think he did an interview with DAZN's Michael Ridout, who obviously is DAZN's behind Misfits, isn't it, for the broadcasting purposes. So yeah, I'll leave that one up there. I wouldn't ruin my legacy. I get it, it's the money thing again. Everyone's talking about money. You've seen the several conversations I've had, you know, from Gareth A. Davies to Clifton Mitchell on, you know, taking big sums of money to fight certain sorts of people, and it's, I don't know. Look, circus brings money, doesn't it? People want to see entertainment. So all of your morals and your purist actions and what you think about boxing just goes out the window, because it's, nobody cares anymore. Everything is on a quick fix, surface level. Let's, you know, cash and grab, and we're just losing all substance to everything. And that's just my opinion, but you guys have to remember I'm older, so I think slightly different, and I'm not a manager or or a promoter or a broadcaster that's collecting money. Make no doubt about it, if I was in their position, I'd be selling the crap out of these fights, because guess what, it's going to be lining my pockets. But because it isn't, I do have a slightly different view. That's the hypocrite in me. I can afford to have this, I don't know, panoramic view, as it were, because I'm not making any money. But if my pockets were being lined from it, I think I can quite honestly say that I'd be singing a different tune. I'd be like all over this like a rash. And the media, I guess, can make something attractive out of it, and can run with a narrative, and can be fed certain lines, so it does become something that we really want to see. But we'll see. I'm not sold as yet. Obviously there's videos of Darren Till screaming at Carl Froch after his fight. If you want to go and watch that, be my guest. But you know me, I'm going to go back on traditional boxing. And there was a post, let me just try and get that up. I need to go onto Instagram, so I'm doing this as we speak, so bear with me. Let's go to home and find the fighter that I'm about to talk about. And it is the lovely Caroline Dubois. Caroline Dubois. I was just looking at her bio. I don't even know what she had in there before, but I'm just looking at her Instagram bio. Obviously, she's named an Olympian, professional boxer, sponsored by Adidas, agent inquiries, and she's got an agent inquiry there. And watch my Sky Sports edition. She doesn't say that she's aligned to anyone. But what caught my eye, and I did like it, was her last post. Now, she posted some really nice pictures. There were 3 pictures, actually. One when she sat next to Reese Edwards. Well, there's 2 of them. She sat next to Reese Edwards. One of them where she's on her own. And she's cropped out Ben Shalom. She's made herself the centre of the picture, but Reese Edwards is still in it. And then the 3rd picture, she's cropped Ben Shalom totally out of it. as well. I think you can just see his arm. But you know that it's him in the previous picture because quarter of his face is in it. You can see his eye and his beard, etc. And she's got this stern look looking forward at the ring. Caroline is a purist. She loves her boxing, and she's captioned this: "Get me back at a boxing show. This is a need," and that's in capital letters, and a must in capital letters. What up and coming boxing events are you guys interested in going to? Now, you could say she just wants to go and watch a show because there's not much going on at the moment. And I've seen Caroline going to big shows, and also she's gone to the smaller hall shows, including one that I've commentated on for Box Academy, courtesy of Warren Boxing Management. So she does go and watch all the boxing. Shout out to Caroline Dubois. There's plenty ways you can read that. I mean, the shade we've cutting off. And like I said, this just could be me. Go and have a look on the Instagram where Ben Shalom's face is half cut off, and she's just kept her and Reese Edwards in the picture. It was, you know, you can read into that what you want. Bit of a grey area there. Need to probably speak to Shane McGuigan to find out what's happening. I know that Chris Billum-Smith has done an interview, and to be fair, I think Shane McGuigan said something on an interview somewhere. You guys, please feel free to update me in the comments. But I think it's something along the lines of potentially the doors are open with Caroline, and we're open to negotiations. But don't quote me on it. I'll see if I can find the interview on here as we speak. So the last thing that happened, obviously, with Boxer was they announced, you know, multi-year broadcasts in agreement with BBC, all the pizzazz, you know, bringing professional boxing back to primetime free-to-air TV for the first time in, 25 years. Events will also stream on the iPlayer and BBC Sport and across BBC digital platforms. All of that all came out, and it was the end of an era with, I think it was 4 years that they were with Sky Sports. They were supposed to be hosting their first fight in September, which was the British heavyweight title that was ordered between Fraser Clarke, Olympian, bronze medalist, and Jamie TKV. That was supposed to be in September. You guys know that I already had my doubts. We were talking about this in August, and I was like, why it hasn't a venue? Where's the flyer for it? Where's the undercard? So I did have my suspicions that this wasn't going to take place in September, and that was confirmed, I believe, on X. Let's have a quick look on X so I can find my source. When I like to tell you stuff, I do like to try and quote the sources, and I think I reposted it. Right, something came out from Everything Boxing, August 30th. That was Saturday. So shout out to Darshan Desai. Being told that the Fraser Clarke Jamie TKV British heavyweight title bout will now not take place in September, but likely at a later date. Fight was reportedly set to headline the first Boxer and BBC show on September the 27th. So there you go, that's in the bin at the moment. Obviously they're supposed to be doing 4 shows a year. Later dates, are they going to start afresh in 2026, or they're just going to do potentially one fight in this last quarter? So that could be anywhere between obviously now and December, and then start afresh for the 4 fights next year. We don't know. We do know that Ben Shalom said that he's not going to be doing any interviews, which, fair enough, it's entirely up for him to do. He wants everything set in stone. He doesn't want to get too excited about stuff, hence the reason, and it's the proofs in the pudding that you spoke about. It was leaked out about Fraser and Jamie, and now that's not happening. So it's a bit of, one for a better word, egg on your face, and you don't want to keep doing that. So it's like, okay, let's just be quiet. We've made the announcement, we're with BBC, now let's tie everything in. I'm still waiting for the roster of fighters. We need to know who's still with them, who won't be with them, etc., etc. I did speak to Callum Simpson briefly, but obviously the conversation was private. I guess it was kind of irrelevant me telling you that I spoke to him. But in his words, he just said, be patient, just be patient. I says, good, I hope you're okay. And then we left it at that. He was also at the Misfits show. We do know, and I spoke to Conor Benn briefly, that his rematch with Chris Eubank Jr. is definitely happening. And obviously Chris Eubank Jr. is partnered with Boxer. So hopefully, and this is why maybe some of the fights aren't yet out on BBC, that Boxer will have some fights on this card, as will Eddie Hearn. And potentially a versus, even though not officially put up as a versus, but there could be some Boxer fighters on, the ring card with Eubank and Ben. That's cards yet to be announced, but I'm hearing whispers that there's potentially going to be a press conference for that coming up soon. Hopefully I can get to that with my usual work commitments. It's going to be lastminute.com. But yeah, so we should hopefully see some more Boxer fighters on there, because what's happening with Richard Riakporhe, what's happening with Martin Bacoli. We've just mentioned Caroline Dubois. We've spoke about Adam Azim, Callum Simpson, Jamie TKV, Fraser Clarke, just to name a few. Tyler Denny. The list goes on. Reese Edwards. The list goes on. Yeah, it's what is happening. Nobody knows, but those fighters are suffering from inactivity. I think the last card was in April, and in boxing years that seems like such a long time ago. So we'll see. I can't remember the date for Eubank Jr. Ben rematch actually. Is it November? I know it was supposed to be September, but obviously there was issues around the date, and now it's been pushed back to a later date. You speak to Elliot Amoka, which is Nova Sports that manage Chris Eubank Jr., and he seems to have quite a pleasant relationship with Boxer, with Ben Shalom. So he's quite happy with the way things are going. Obviously with his fighter, he's got a key fighter, but that doesn't say much about the other fighters that are not as much as a profile. And I don't mean that to insult the fighters, but you know what it's like. The higher you profile, the more attention that you're going to get. Not saying that Chris Eubank Jr. hasn't got qualities as a fighter, but now it's all about profile. It's all about numbers, because numbers equal revenue, etc., etc., etc. When you think some of the fighters are so talented, all they need is the right platform and they could skyrocket. Their brand, their business, them as fighters could absolutely skyrocket. Excuse me, forgive me, I forgot to mention Ben Whittaker, what's happening with him as well. So they've got a few fighters where there's a few question marks over, but I do believe that is why everything is delayed, because of the roster of fighters, to get them to re-sign, potentially contract issues, whatever it is. So I think Ben Shalom's doing the right thing, staying quiet until he knows exactly what's going on. They've nailed the broadcaster, now they've got to nail the fighters, and then they can come out with the dates. It's sensible. It leaves us open to speculation, because if we don't know what's going on, we're inclined to gossip, hence what I'm doing now. But I can look at it from a balanced point of view, and I can understand why he's doing it. Sometimes talking too much really doesn't help, and all you're doing is you're giving people evidence to use back against you when things don't go the way that you predicted them to. We've seen Eddie Hearn do it before, and then it got to the point where he's saying, you know what, I'm not saying anything, because if I say that we're going to know next week and we don't, you lot are going to come back and crucify me. So sometimes less is best. Feed us what we need to know, feed us what you can confirm, but everything else is just speculation. So yeah, interesting to know about that. I think Queensbury said they were having a quiet month, September, and then they're looking to kickstart back in October. We have got Matchroom cards this week, Sunderland. I won't be attending that, but I'm going to try and get some of the fighters to do some online work, so have a listen out for that. I've reached out to Leo, Atang and Sandy Ryan thus far. Obviously the week after, Matchroom once again, starting the last quarter of the year off nicely. They've got Ireland with Donovan Crocker, rematch. That is going to be a fantastic card, and the atmosphere is going to be electric. Then I think we've got Dave Allen, haven't we, coming up October the 11th as well. Sheffield, I'll be covering that. Looking forward to that card as well. He's going up against oh God, what's his name again? Is it Makhmudov? The massive heavyweight. So we'll see how it goes. I will be doing some more reviews. Like I said, I'm going to try and get some fighters, but it'll probably be more online stuff as we're back to term time now. And obviously we've got our normal commitments, but I will try and get the content out for you guys. I am keeping an eye on, and I have got alerts set up for the UBOs, the bill that's been put through Congress. I haven't had any updates yet, but be sure to understand that as soon as I do, you guys will be the first to know, because I'm keeping an eye on that, because that will have a knock-on effect globally. Or even though you say we're not governed by it, however, if Dana TKO, we know we've got that fight coming up as well. That is the TKO brand. If that goes ahead and they start pulling in fighters, the carrot is exclusivity, high signing on fees, etc. We'll see how it goes. When you look at UBOs, and I did speak to a fighter about this the other day, and they said, they can't see how it works because they're looking at short term. If the UBO ingrains itself into boxing, it's definitely not about today, because they've got work to do. In any business, quick fixes are so dangerous. They are looking to actually change the game of boxing. And I've seen a few of you in the comments that are really negative about it. But if it works over the next 10, 15, 20 years and it changes, we could see that massive decline when it comes to like the normal boxing that we know, including the belts. If you think strategy, you think how you want to break something down over time so you become the top business, the top dog, the one that runs it all, you have to think long term. So you have to be really strategic about it. I know His Excellency likes to put things out quickly and he wants everything yesterday, and it looks like Dana's had to say, chill, we've got to do this the right way because we want longevity, and that's the key in business. And albeit people scream and shout and say they hate the UFC, it's a relatively new business, but it's still going strong. Lawsuits, whatever aside, you have loads of lawsuits in boxing as well. It's a business where there's going to be lawsuits, but it's still going, and it's still lucrative, and it's still a brand, a household name in some circumstances as well. So just think about the long-term strategic effects of what the UBOs could bring if it's passed in Congress. But yeah, I think that's it for me. I'm not sure if I've missed anything out. If I have, I apologise. Put it in the comments. I will be doing more of these, as you know. But thank you for your time this morning. Look after yourselves. The temperature's dropping now in the UK. We're getting towards my favourite season, which is autumn. Goodbye summer. Roll on early dark nights, rainy days, colder temperatures, the log burners, the slow roasts in the oven, all of that, that's all me. But yeah, take care. I'll speak to you soon. And remember, stay ready.
October Red is sponsored by SA Security. Maximum security, minimum fuss.